My name is Kenny, and I am the host of the Transition Talks, talking our way to our first job podcast, where we interview adults with disabilities who are working in jobs that we want to learn about. Through these conversations, we aim to inspire and empower young adults with disabilities to pursue their own career goals and aspirations. We will be talking to a diverse range of professionals, from teachers to entrepreneurs to artists to scientists, to learn about their experiences and the challenges they have overcome to succeed in their fields. So sit back, relax, and join us on our journey to discover the possibilities for people with disabilities in the workforce.
Hi, I'm Jackson. Welcome to our podcast, Transition Talks, talking our way to our first job for today's podcast. Kenny will be interviewing Christopher Robert Watson, a non-active battalion chief, a canine handler, and an advocate for the unique and able community.
Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm very excited and honored to be a part of this. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yes.
Can't wait to hear what you have in mind for me. So whenever you're ready, buddy, it's all up to you.
Okay, let's get started with the questions.
Alrighty.
1. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sir. So I am 29. I will be 30 on July 29th. And I have a history with being a first responder, a dog trainer, an advocate for the uniquely abled community, neurodiverse community, and also I spoke at the 2017, National Autism 1 conference, and it allowed me to expand my knowledge in the autism field to be able to comprehend how to help individuals like ourselves to allow us to expand our knowledge and our existence within the community and help integrate a master plan of some sort. I don't know what that is yet. I haven't actually figured that out. But helping others like yourself.
Yes. What was your first paid job?
You know, Kenny, that's a really great question. My first paid job was a ranch hand. What I did is I took care of all the animals and I made sure that they were watered, fed, medicated, and definitely taken care of. Both in the winter time, when it was freezing out, I would still be out there mucking stalls and being able to take the manure to where it should be. And then I would take care of the barn chores, as far as cleaning, organizing, and helping others that are working there or volunteering there, helping them regulate what they need to do and what I need to do, and keeping it very open for everyone to learn.
Yes. How did it help prepare you for your current role?
That's a really good question, Kenny. The best way I can explain this is what it did was it expanded my knowledge both on the levels of, and this is going to roll into a second question that you may have down the line of questions, and I will address that when that time comes. But to answer the first one, how it how it helped prepare me for my role, it really gave me the expanding knowledge of understanding how to work as a team, how to be able to assist others when needed, understand that we are not all the same. We don't all think the same. We have unique abilities that most of the population does not understand yet 100%. And that is what makes us very unique in our own ways. And that is what allows us to expand our knowledge to educate and be able to have as many or as little confrontations with others. And I don't mean that in a negative manner. I mean that in a very positive, more educational manner. But understanding that there is a lot of uniqueness about that question that you had asked. And I hope I answered that to the best of my ability there for you, buddy.
How did you deal with any anxiety about your first job?
Wow, brilliant question, Kenny. Really good question. Well, let me start off by saying, as you all know, We, and I'm not speaking for the whole neurodiverse community. We are all different, like I said before,
Yes.
but allowing others to expand their connection and relativity to what we're going through is something that I definitely cherish. So I share my anxiety with others, with helping support them, being a role model as much as I possibly can, keeping everything respectful, comment when needed, and being able to allow that connection to happen naturally, not forcefully. Because as you know, change, something becoming something else, is very hard for the neurodiverse community. Let alone, should it be easy for anyone? I would be really worried about that person, because change is not easy for anyone in this lifetime that I know personally. But again, I'm not speaking for um, yourself or anyone. I'm speaking on behalf of my own experiences, and with that in mind, I'll just leave it at that.
How did you ask for any support for your first job or any job after?
Again, wow, I am very impressed and shocked at these questions. Shocked in a very positive. Wow, that's a very good question. So how I went about getting help with not just accommodations, reasonable accommodations as they call it in the workforce, understanding that there is always going to be, whether you're in school or not, IEP meetings, supports that can be put in place for your success. Understanding the verification of the needs being met, and when I say verification of needs being met, I'm talking not just your IEP meetings, but your general well-being and care for after school, and being able to progress into the workforce on a more normal, and I say normal, and please understand, I do not mean this for just anyone. I mean this for myself. Is I had a very hard time getting into the workforce with the anxiety piece, and that was definitely a barrier that I had to face. And facing barriers is something that I'm not going to lie, I'm not the best at, and I still have to work on that. But the anxiety portion was the hardest for me to bear and grasp, because I went about 27 years with PTSD, TBI, and also severe anxiety, which heightened because of all the other pre-existing issues. And from there, I just learned to cope with therapy, cope with supports from not just the therapist, but parents, guardian parents, anyone that's around me that's willing to help.
What challenges have you faced as a person with a disability in the workplace, or how have you overcome them?
Great question again. I'm very impressed. So to really answer that question in a whole, and a very sweet and to the point, um, I've had a couple of rundowns with coworkers, and when I say rundowns, I'm talking both positive and negative. How I handled them is allowing myself to learn and place myself in their shoes. And there are a lot of different situations that we come in this lifetime to be able to handle the the deciding factors of how our brains want to communicate essentially with our employees, our coworkers, our bosses, and also on top of that, being able to be placed in their shoes gives perspective of how I can be better of assistance to that general person, or to that group of people that may need more assistance with um, other situations. So uh, I hope I answered that one. If you need me to touch up on anything, please stop me and let me know.
All right. Now I want you to ask some questions about your current job. Can you tell us about your first experiences as a firefighter and how you got started in the field?
Great question. So Kenny, this is how I got started. I took it upon myself to advocate for myself. I went up to the fire chief, whom at the time, I also Clear Creek Fire Authority. That's who I was with originally, as a firefighter, a safety liaison, and that is basically the role that I had the whole time. And how I got started was I went to a open house to introduce myself. I had just moved into the county. I wanted to get more involved with the county and community and kind of get to know people. And on top of that, I was like, it's nice to be able to give back to the community from what I was never given, and that is a lack of support and help of others getting through challenges in my life that I faced. And on top of that, I was advocating for the fact that yes, I do have autism, and yes, I do have challenges with social cues, being able to understand what people ask of me, and comprehending what people tell me to do as far as the structure. Now, on a positive note, the structure of the fire agency that I was with gave me that right to be able to just sit there and focus on one thing at a time and move on to the next. And that's why they had me as a safety liaison to represent the department on calls. I've seen a number of fires. I've seen a number of motor vehicle accidents. All in detail about that is the experience itself. When I started, was very, very nerve wracking. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to take and understand and comprehend the calls. And the number one question I got asked, Kenny, was how can you handle the lights and the sirens when we're running to calls and rolling with the tones? Well, that's a really good question too, in the perspective of when we're inside of the vehicles. Like I was an acting officer, so I got to roll in the officer's seat, which is the passenger side front, and then the engineer side and the driver is going to be the obviously the driver's side. But while we're rolling on a call, we have our ears plugged into dispatch with those type of headphones that you're wearing currently, but just a little more technical. It has a mouthpiece and all that. And we're able to communicate with dispatch, let them know we're rolling to the call, let them know when we come on call or on the scene, and tell them what's going on. So I really did not hear the lights and the sirens. And plus, when we get on a call, what we call quote unquote kill the sirens. We keep the lights on for our protection and for everyone else around us protection. My whole goal was to protect my guys and gals that were serving on the call and standing at the base at the back of a truck or an engine or a ladder or a quint. A quint is a ladder truck, but extremely bigger than an actual just regular ladder truck. Has about a couple thousand more pounds of life-saving equipment on it, and on top of that, being able to continue working my career job, which was I say career, I was a volunteer at the time, but still I treated it like a career, because when I didn't treat it like a career, I saw it in a very different perspective. I hope that answers some of that, Kenny, for you.
Has autism affected your work as a firefighter? If so, how?
Okay, Kenny. So that is a brilliant question. Also, to best answer that, I'm gonna put it with this situation that I'm in. I 8 months ago broke my back and had spinal fusion surgeries done, and I am unable to draw line, which is basically on the back of the trucks, or be on fire line because of my rods. And that I have a mobility situation going on. I have a service dog for that. But on top of that, working as a firefighter with rods in my back, obviously a lot of people are like, you're done for your career. You're never going to do it again. And again, Kenny, I want to point this out to you, but too, is if you set your mind to something, keep your mind and heart going towards that goal, because you're doing an amazing, fabulous job on this. I'm very proud of you, man. And to be real honest, with sharing how it affected me is this: there is not a lot of room for errors in the fire agency. Errors cause people's lives. And the way I see it is my brain, the way my frontal lobe, occipital, and some other components of my brain are wired. I think a lot faster. I produce a lot more for the fire agency I'm with, and I produce a lot more ideas. Now, here's the little unique situation I'm in. Being able to have those ideas and allow the fire chief of the agency to take that idea and run with it, it is very hard for me because, yes, well, I'm the one that brought this up. And this is a good life lesson too, is when you have a boss that changes the question into more of, this is what I want you to do, and then you roll with it, you produce a lot more than your boss could. Your boss is going to see, well, either my higher advisors are going to see and not be so pleased with what this person was capable of generating because I didn't generate that, not myself, but my fire chief. And then if I go over the fire chief ever, then he looks at it as it's not okay, and he gets either jealous or upset. And just as an example, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of companies. I also run a company myself. It's a dog training company. I run it solely by myself as an entrepreneur, but at the same time, um, that situation I just brought up with you, Kenny, is definitely for me in general. How I got over it was, as I said, let me put myself in his shoes. I saw how much I had accomplished and I had put into it without being compensated for it. I did it all free of charge because I care. I have compassion for what I do. A lot of people in this society that working workforce society, they're not going to see that. They're not going to see your uniqueness or mine, or in general the neurodiverse community in itself will see one another as we are, but the outside of that you won't see anything, and they won't know, they won't understand, because the way I see it is the word and how it affected me. To answer that portion of the question is there are a lot of people out there that I don't relate myself to anyone except my own personal being. And that is where I need to work on a couple of things, slowing my brain down tremendously. If you can't already tell, I'm very much compassionate about sharing not just my life situation, but also having the ability to work with others. Like for instance, a quick one, and then we can move on. Is I am a self subject matter expert. I know Jennifer sent you that video of me. That is a recent one I just did, and that right there is helping me to answer the last portion of the question: is understanding how to slow down. I'll leave it at that.
Can you tell us about any unique abilities or strengths you have that you believe are a result of your autism?
Perfect question, Kenny. Perfect. Let, let me ask you this: Do you? This is kind of an off the hook type question, but do you watch any sort of comic like Marvel, DC Universe, or anything like that? I
I
bring
don't
this.
I don't read those comics.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let me just put it this way: the way I see it, anyone that's neurodiverse has a superpower. Superpower may be, you know, being able to comprehend what they're reading a lot quicker than 90% of the community around them, being able to remember in pictures. A best friend of mine, Dr. Temple Grandin, is I talk to her on a daily basis, and I'm just impressed by the fact that she can remember in pictures, and she's teaching me all of that. So not just learning that, but learning how to manage the change. But Kenny, just to quickly finish up with this is yes, that having this superpower, and I don't mean this realistically as a superpower, but this is how I handle different situations in life. I look at it as my uniqueness is different than your uniqueness. Yours is different than everyone around you. And with all of that difference in the spectrum, as we call it, ASD, autism spectrum disorder, um, I call it the autism spectrum superpower because it is. It's something that we should cherish, embrace, and learn to cherish with others, and share our uniqueness with others, and be able to have a capable mindset and an open mindset to allow us to enjoy ourselves in community, what we do for a living, yes, while we all have to make money, there is proven evidence that the neurodiverse community struggles with maintaining and holding jobs. And that's also where I was too. And that's, to answer your question, is how it helped me in a unique way is it allowed me to start my own company and understanding that I don't do so well with working with others in a environmental setting of like say Orshlands or any type of vet practice out here in Lawrence. And with that in mind, I was thinking that when I moved down here, I could use my dog training that I already was actually providing other clients of mine to allow my uniqueness to connect with the dogs instead of uniqueness connecting with humans. But now that I look at both sides, I see that we can connect on both levels, the canine level and the human level. We just have to tweak it so that our brains are like, try and make it funny. And that's what I tell all my clients. Make dog training funny in a game with your dog because your dog will not understand if we make it a serious matter. The only way that we're going to get through our workforce day is be able to make it into a game. Think of something funny. If you're not enjoying what you're doing for work, then think of how you can make it funny so that you enjoy what you're doing. And that's where I'll leave it there. But I hope that answers some of that question for everybody.
What strategies have you used to overcome any obstacles you've faced while working as a firefighter?
Great question. So one I will start with therapy. I will just briefly touch on this. Is therapy is a very, very, very kindred practice because it allows us to expand our knowledge on coping skills. Those coping skills have and are and will be used in the fire service. And we are in the process, and I say we, me and a friend of mine, we are in the process of actually opening up a foundation where we teach first responders to work with the neurodiverse community. That being said, there is a couple of situations that I've ran into where the therapy, coping strategies, and then other organizations out there that are here to provide help for us and benefit to us. And I say this us because I'm not gonna use just an I statement because it is a team and there's no I in team. But to really kind of, I guess, answer this question to the fullest is use every opportunity you get to learn new strategies and allow yourself to roll with them. Don't hesitate to ask for help. Don't hesitate to go to other resources out there. I'm talking therapy, I'm talking occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech, all of them. I'm actually currently supposed to be in them, but long story short, there is no there's no end to what you're capable of, Kenny, and what we're capable of in the neurodiverse community.
Can you speak any misconceptions about autism and its impact on a person's ability to work on a high stress field like firefighting?
I am very impressed by that question. Yes, misconceptions. Well, one is, like I said, people ask me all the time, do you get overstimulated by the lights and the sirens? Okay, I put them in my shoes. I say, you be in my shoes for a day and see how long you last. I make that into a joke because it is a joke because a lot of people think that the uh, autism, let me rephrase this, that human beings with a neurodiverse situation in their life are unable to process how to handle high stress situations. The misconception here is that people with autism actually and honestly, now that I really kind of comprehend what I'm saying is that they actually perform better in high stress situations than 90% of the American population that it has nothing to do with the neurodiverse community. That being said, not everyone and I see you smiling, man. I like that. I like you're very, very intuitive about what you're doing, man. And that's what I appreciate about this opportunity to get to know you, get to know Jennifer, help you out. And honestly, these questions really touched really deep, and I appreciate the opportunity, Kenny. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
Yeah, man, keep it up. You're doing great. I hope to see you on the Today Show sometime, man. You're gonna do well.
Can you share any advice for other young adults with autism who may be interested in pursuing a career in firefighting?
Yes, and something that I'm gonna say is this is don't rush into it and think that you're gonna roll off the bat and say, well, I'm gonna be this, this, and this. Don't set high expectations. Take a baby step. That baby step starts you at the base, at the bottom level as a probationary. I went through my probationary stage. Then I went from probationary to an actual firefighter, and then from a firefighter to a safety liaison. That is the highest level rank I got. With that in mind, keep your thoughts highly expanded open so that people with a neurodiverse situation life can learn to expand and educate their coworkers and their higher superiors in the fire service. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help. And again, keep your head above the water and know that it will all be okay and that you are doing the best you possibly can. And even if something doesn't go your way, don't get upset because there's always a reason for that. The reason being that I'll just tell you right now, with my back, I'm not going to be able to do Fireline, which is fine. That's one reason why I took on the administration role in the department I'm with currently, because I know that if I went as a battalion chief, which I still am a battalion chief, but not active. And with that in mind, there is a lot of strengths and weaknesses about my position, but there's always a learning curve. The learning curve I see is the ability to handle all the behind the scenes work while they're out doing stuff. I don't have to worry about injuring myself. On top of that, I get to organize, and that's what I'm good at, is organization skills. And two is be able to handle all of our employees and employers applications and all that. So I'm looking forward to being able to present this role and then be able to work my way up if they ever want me to. But at the same time, I take care of yourself and be who you are, be yourself, and don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise, because you are a great person. You have the best interests at heart for what you're doing. And I'm speaking to everyone now in the neurodiverse community. Keep your head above the water during the tough days and know that you will make it through. Like I say in my house, in this house, I stim. In this house, I have meltdowns. In this house, my dog looks at me and says, "What's wrong, Daddy?" And in this house, I allow everyone to be autistic. I allow people to be autistic around me because that's just who they are. And you know what? That's okay. So just remember that is that everything will be okay, and you're doing a fantastic job, Kenny. And again, it's been a pleasure to speak to you today on this podcast, sir. I really appreciate it.
Okay, we are finished with the serious questions. Before we finish, I want to ask you some fun rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Sir.
What is your favorite cartoon?
Wow. Captain Underpants. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
What is your favorite TV show?
Oh, okay. I got three. Is there a limit on how many I can tell you, or do you just want me to give you three or one?
3.
Okay, three. Leave It to Beaver. And then there was one called Emergency. It was way before my time. And then the third one would be the original Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Yes.
If you could have any superpower, what it would be and why?
Superpower. Wow. Great question. Okay. My superpower would be the Invisible Man.
Invisible.
That's I don't like the way I feel or look in society, and that is me being self conscious. I can throw it into and say, I'm the invisible man, voila, and nobody sees me. That's who I would be.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Great question. If I could go anywhere in the world, it would be Brazil. The reason
Brazil.
why, yes, Brazil. The reason why Brazil is because there are a lot of destinations out there that I want to visit on my bucket list before I die in my life and lifetime. And also is the home of some of my relatives that, and I have no Brazilian in me. I'm just tall, 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 and people think that I have Brazilian in me because of my body structure. And also, I used to do MMA, and a lot of famous mixed martial artists come out of Brazil. And with that being said, there are a lot of unique opportunities out there to get to know their environment and their culture.
What is your favorite pet?
My favorite pet. Well, let me see here. See if I can do this. I don't know if you can see this, but oh, you can't see that. I can't show you that. I have a background. My favorite pet would be my service dog. He's a Great Pyrenees Saint Bernard mix, weighing at approximate 115 pounds. He is with the mix. He has a lot of unique behaviors that I've stood with him and corrected with him and managed to be able to deal with him. And he's just been a great pup. And I've had golden retrievers too, but my number one is this boy right here. It's a large breed, and I have no concern about being harmed or even close to that when I go out in public with him, because typically people have a stigma with large breed dogs, which is they're dangerous, they're mean, they're aggressive, and all dogs bark. And like I say, when he puts that vest on, he knows he's doing a deed for his dad by being my service dog. But when that vest comes off, he's a big puppy. I mean, he runs around the house, he runs around the backyard. He gets muddy. I have to brush him every day. I mean, it's like owning a house. You never have just one thing go wrong. If one thing went wrong in the house, that'd be a great day. But if one thing goes wrong in a dog's life, there's honestly to a dog, there's nothing wrong. Ever, because all they want is the love and compassion that you show them. They are eternally grateful for the opportunity. So that's my answer for you right there, buddy.
What is your favorite meal?
Wow. Okay, goes back to room service. I gotta say, I grew up on the roads, and I grew up with my dad being very much in really high ranked in the corporate America world. And with that in mind, we spent the first 9 years of my life on the road in hotels. So I actually had a question, and you just asked the question, what is my favorite meal? And I was only 5 years old. I was in grade school, really, really young grade. But they asked me that because we were all answering questions, and one of them said, "What is your favorite meal?" And I raised my hand. They said, "Okay, go ahead, Chris." I said, "Room service," and they all started laughing because that's all I knew was room service. So anytime I go out to a hotel, I always order room service.
Room
I don't care where
service.
I'm in the world. I could be 5 minutes from my own house and go spend a weekend at a hotel and pretend I'm on vacation. And that's when I have the income, obviously. But yeah, room service and whatever they have on the menu that I could be ordered to the room is what I typically would do.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Oh,
Do you have anything else you would like to say before we sign off?
well, I just want to take the second to Miss Burns. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the invite, and I really
Thanks.
cherish every opportunity to help you, Kenny. And I wish you the best of luck. And I hope that when you find your niche in life, which I can already tell, you're going to be an amazing caster of some sort, and podcaster or just regular sportscaster. Keep it up, man. You're doing amazing. You're working wonders, with the support of Miss Burns, definitely allow her to be there for you, man. Because every let me just put this really quickly. I know we're running short on time, but my my sixth grade teacher, I still keep in contact with. She had the most, I guess, detrimental in a very positive manner. I don't know if I said that word correctly, but very, very unique perspective in life that she shared with me as a student of hers. And from there, I had kept in contact. So if you get a chance down the road, my man, just keep in touch with Miss Burns and know that she will always be there for the greater of your success and to support you. And again, Miss Burns, thank you for your time. I really appreciate the time. And I hope that down the road I can answer any more questions that you guys may have, or even do a podcast on service animals.
Okay, thanks. Enjoy your day.
All right, you too, Kitty. Great job and keep it up, okay, buddy?
Bye. Au revoir.
Au revoir.